Hey, hey, hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad y'all here. I just woke up. And so I'm going to apologize right now that I might be slightly all over the place. Um, but it's Independence Day. And this is one of those holidays where I find there to be incredible tension. It's like I got my little flag pin. I have flags outside that my neighbors or my neighborhood association puts out. And quite frankly, I still have flags in my flower pots from Memorial Day. I always put those in there. And this is one of my favorite scarves. I don't wear it often because I think what most people don't realize is that you're actually not supposed to have the flag on clothing. It violates flag code. But on Independence Day, people don't know or don't care. And I think that I just got up because, man, I was exhausted yesterday. We had our follow up meeting from last week where the officer had said that Black kids in hoodies with black backpacks, um, half of them can't read and don't have books. And I think it was pretty clear that I didn't appreciate those comments. I really didn't appreciate the laughter that came behind it. But yesterday, I didn't see that officer. He was not at the meeting, but he was the central part of the conversation. And what was being presented was that basically he's not the worst thing he's ever done. And quite frankly, I agree. Right? Just like I think that people are not the best things they've ever done. Like it drives me absolutely bananas that I might tell someone that I own a leadership development company and they're like, whoa, 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 whatever. But then when I say I'm an engineer and they're like, oh my God, how amazing. I finished engineering school in 1998. I'm 48. I'm more than the best thing I've ever done, too. And I would argue that that's not even the best thing. But I truly struggled yesterday because outright hatefulness will most often get a negative response, but subtle hatefulness might get a round of applause. You see, while that officer was not there, um, it was said multiple times that he was sharing his truth or that he shared the truth, but on a trash can lid. And my argument is still the same. It was not the truth. It was not delivered wrong. It was an outright lie. It's not right. It's not accurate, right? And the engineer in me gets stuck when things are not accurate. What do you mean? Do you mean most children? Do you mean some children are illiterate? Do you mean some Black kids with hoodies on and backpacks can't read? Because most is still inaccurate and imprecise. And my head just kind of starts to throb because I think it's fascinating that someone can disparage the illiterate while being innumerate. You don't understand numbers, can't compute, can't do percentages, but somebody can't read and you somehow think you're better. I struggled today because I recognize that with great power comes great privilege, and you have to be careful when you have power and privilege. And I recognize that having a terminal degree is a point of privilege. And so, even though I happen to be Black and happen to be female and all the things that might make someone term me minority, got to be careful about this smart thing because people will label you academically elitist. I was thinking about my grandmother this morning, mostly because when Khalid was born, he didn't, while I was pregnant with him, I did not eat pork, and he did not eat pork. It was a request of his father. And I grew up the sixth child of seven children, and most people I know grew up that you eat what your parents made. That's even the narratives that many of my siblings would push forth, but it's not true. My brother Joe did not like cheese. And so because he did not like cheese, when my mother made macaroni and cheese, she also made mashed potatoes for him. I'm bringing my grandmother because I would bring Khalid's either soy bacon or turkey bacon with me or buy it when I got there. And my grandmother, because she didn't know, would sometimes fry his soy bacon in lard or fry his turkey bacon in lard. And she'd be like, what? But it wasn't overt hatefulness, right? She was trying to get it right. And usually by the end of our trip, she would have it right. And so I grew up in these spaces where majority didn't rule, right? That if somebody would be harmed, i.e., they don't eat pork, or i.e., they don't eat cheese, that you make adjustments because we all are family. We live in this house together. And if you got a cousin Marcus who's going to die from eating onions, make Marcus a little version of the cornbread dressing that ain't got no onions in it. That's the environment I grew up in. And I recognize that it gives me a certain bias that says you care about the least of these, the least not being less worthy of dignity, the least not being somehow beneath you, the least being not the majority. And so we say things like majority rule in the spirit of saying, let's figure out how we can solve for most people. Because if I try to make everybody happy, I ain't gonna make nobody happy. But I'd argue that the people who try to make everyone happy do a bit better job of making most people happy. But those of us who just lean into, there ain't nothing I can do to make everybody happy, so I ain't even gonna try, you gonna end up adjusting for the people who mirror you, which why I was probably tired and slept longer than I should have, or usually do, not that I should have, is because I'm reading this book called The Sweetness of Water right now. It's a fiction book. I don't even have it up here, but I have it covered. It looks like this. And it's a fictional novel. I just got to the middle of it and I had to put it down because a character died that I actually liked, and sometimes that's a little much. But in the beginning of the book, they're describing what happened when in 1863 the Emancipation Proclamation was delivered and many people had to release the enslaved people they had been holding and harboring. And like overnight, Black people were given nothing. No food, no 40 acres, no mule, no clothes, no houses. Just put out. And freedom for us was better than houses and clothes and food even. There's a story in the book where folks are legitimately in the woods hunting with their bare hands. They don't have anything. Piecing together meals, sharing birds they've killed so that they can eat. And so when I think about this pretty ugly bill that is passed, I really don't think it's going to be Black people who are suffering. We understand the bottom. We understand what it looks like to work together in community. We have been distracted. We have been divided. And folks are out here saying things like immigrants, criminal rapists, and they say that together over and over and over again. We, like other people, are prone to believe something we've heard multiple times, and no matter how not true. And I think about my grandmother, who could take a pound of beans, pinto beans, and make them last all week. Grow some collard greens and throw that with it and make it last all week. Piece together some cornmeal with a little oil. If she ain't had no milk, fine. Put a little water in it. Call it hot water cornbread. Make it last all week. A couple of dollars of ingredients. Feed dozens of people. And so it stands out to me that I'm hearing from massive food pantries, largest in the nation, after Congress has passed this pretty ugly bill. That I'm hearing from nonprofits that get most of their patients or their customers from people who use SNAP or what used to be called food stamps. Hearing from them after the pretty ugly bill has passed. And my brain was spazzing because where were these people before? It's written in plain language in Project 2025. 900 pages plus so. But it was very, very clear. When I think about people who understand the bottom, the people who are called the minorities, the ones for whom the ones who don't get to rule, I wonder about that idea that we have majority rule, how our voting system is crafted. But if majority rules, and most U.S. citizens couldn't figure out what they were going to do if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to go into debt to fix it or borrow it or do without. Most is majority. And the big ugly bill, that's pretty ugly, seems to be benefiting the minority. So here I am, I grow up in this space where majority don't rule, where you don't just do what most people want, where you make accommodations for folk who need accommodation. If cilantro tastes like soap to you, I can put it on the side. Everybody else can put it in their dish if they want. But who wants to be fed a bowl of dish soap, right? That's what I grow up with. But people have said to me, that's the problem with you, Nicole. The majority think one way, and you want to inconvenience us because of a few people and their preferences. They don't like soap. They need to bring their own food. And I've been befuddled, just confused by this. Because empathy cannot sit on a bed of hypocrisy. These same people tend to be the ones supporting the 1% wealthiest at the top. Empathy requires understanding. And this week I've been struggling with understanding because I was complaining yesterday to a family member about, okay, this time it wasn't laughter about kids being illiterate. It was claps about parents being terrible. And it was a suggestion, subtle, that we talking about Black people, right? Ain't nobody going around talking about white folk White children with backpacks got gun in it. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's walking around suggesting that white folk don't know how to raise their kids. But in all of Jackson County, and all of Jackson County includes Eastern Jackson County, white children do not get arrested. They don't end up in the detention center. Why not? So you're telling me something is inherently wrong with black children, which if you repeat something enough, people will believe it. Just like we've been taught to believe that immigrants are criminals. And now we out here shipping folks off to South Sudan in shipping containers. Empathy requires that I understand. So I've been racking my brain, trying to understand. What do you do when someone doesn't understand? Repeating a lie over and over and over again causes people to believe it. So you got to not repeat it. But this relative that I spoke to about the folks clapping this week and the ones laughing last week, this relative says to me, half of these children with backpacks do have guns in them. Half. So, empathy requires curiosity, even when I'm not trying to be curious. So I do that thing that I hate other people do. I say, I'm curious about, even when I'm not curious. I leaned into this. So I'm curious. You mean if I line up 100 children with backpacks, 50 of them got guns in them? Yeah, he said. And these kids running around with these cars, they done stole them. I hate being an engineer sometimes. That's why I hate when people act like it's this amazing thing, because my brain hears this enumerate point of view, and those numbers can't be right. Just like immigrants can't be criminals and rapists. The numbers can't be right. Like, even if you don't know how to do math, those numbers can't be right. Go to a graduation sometime. Go outside, touch some grass. Go sit outside of a high school. Watch children pull out of the parking lot if you need to. You ain't got to go to college, but just look, they got license plates with current registration. Half did not steal their cards. Half do not have guns in their backpacks. My son is not a teenager. He's 26 years old and he carries a backpack. You know what's in it? Water, some protein drinks, some berries, and maybe a band if you want to do a little workout, some glove, tape. If you repeat over and over and over again enough, you can get people to believe what you say, even when you're wrong. So I look at how we got here and how things like DEI and woke have been hijacked to mean something else. And when someone hijacks a word to make it mean something else, you can't just keep using it. But in the same vein, here I am with people who have hijacked the beautifulness of young people and turned them into gun-toting, car-stealing thugs. I use that word on purpose because you know how we got to mass incarceration? First, we had to be convinced that Black people were thugs. We started saying it too. And we were wrong. And then folks start getting stopped and frisked, thrown up against walls, inconvenienced on their way to work because we're going to catch the thugs. And now privatized prisons are so massive, we can't figure out how to get ourselves out. You start repeating that people on Medicaid are stealing, that people getting food stamps are fraudulent. The reason you think that because you buy food stamps. If you need food stamps, if you are so poor that you need supplemental income to pay for food, and listen, that could be an elementary school teacher, by the way. If you're selling them, it's because you need some money to pay for a $400 expense. So we start rounding people up, detaining them, deporting them. And we don't take to the streets. That's not what we do. We looked at those folks from January 6th and we thought they were crazy. I was one of them. It was a Wednesday, January 6th. I never go live on Wednesday. And I went live because I could not believe what I was seeing. I was like, oh my God, today? I wonder where a January 6er is so they can teach me what it looks like to resist appropriately. Because this pretty ugly bill, I'm watching the people I know who feed people. I can't help but think about my mother and my granny today. Because both of them fed people. And after each of them died, I can't figure out how. Like, I can't make the money make sense. Like, how in the world do you get up every day and cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and whoever stops by, you got enough food for them? Where did you get the money? My brain is just like, but statistically, it just the math don't add up. Had to be some prayer in there. But I think about them also today because they were the examples of what it looks like to have enough and then share your excess. I liked raisins in my sweet potato pie. It's weird, I know. I can't even believe I'm admitting it because I know how y'all like to talk about people who put raisins in potato salad. I've never tasted it. Probably tastes sour. Not that fond of potato salad anyway. My mother would make me a special sweet potato pie every holiday with raisins in it, just for me. I don't like turnip greens. I don't like mixed greens. I like collard greens. If I have mustard greens, I need you to cut them up. My mother, when it was turnip green day, would either make me something else or make me some collards. It's a bias that makes it hard for me to understand people who would say they believe in majority rule, say they believe in good old American flag, say they believe in freedom and constitutional liberty, say they good Christians, but in the same breath can spew hatefulness so easily, can clap at the demise of another, laugh at the illiteracy of another, give credence and suggest that it's truth when someone throws out a math equation that's not even close to right. You know, I used to think that all Black people were Christian because every Black person I knew was Christian. And I thought Christian meant helping people with their rent and feeding people and giving them clothes if they didn't have them. Because that's what I saw from my mama, from my granny. And then I went to an HBCU, North Carolina A&T State University. And there I learned not only are not all Black people Christian, not all Black people believe anything at all. Some are atheists, agnostic. Others are Wiccans and practice divination, where they bring forth the ancestors. Some are Muslim, like traditional Islam practitioners, and others are Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelites, and Jewish, and all kinds of things. But I gotta be careful, even remotely trying to suggest that people need to go to college, because that's elitist. But if we're not going to leave our space to learn, what are we going to do to make sure that we are not the ones just spewing incorrect data, incorrect stats, repeating it over and over and over again, no matter how wrong it is? Because when you're wrong and loud, people believe you. That's how we got here. This pretty ugly bill, how we got here, is because the people who said the simplest, most hateful things said them over and over and over again. And so on this here Independence Day, my request to you is that when it's simple and when it's hateful, be real careful. Be real careful. Because I'd hate for you to be loud and wrong. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got work to do.